You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good day, and welcome to the Mushie Moment with myself and my awesome co-host, Reverend Cindy, for Tuesday, May 23rd. We are live today on paceradio.net, CBG TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Boxcast, Roku, Fire Stick, and here on the Mushie Moment. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Cindy.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I am doing well. How is your day going?
Pretty good, thank you. I started my day off with rewatching an old podcast in preparation for today. Of course, our guest today was our guest on our very first Mushie Moment.
The inaugural Mushie Moment show.
I went back and rewatched it just so it would be fresh in my mind coming into today. And of course, it was your first podcast ever. And
yeah. Man, did I interrupt them and babble? So today I'm not going to do that.
Yes, you will.
Today I'm going to try not to do that.
But it's really cool to go back and take a look and see where 5 months has brought us.
5 months already?
5 months. Well, 4.5, but pushing 5 months. It'll be 5 months, pretty soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. I went back and rewatched it too, and I was like, oh my God. Blah, 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 interrupt, blah, blah, blah. You should have said, hey, dude, you're a shitty co-host. Shut up. Let him talk.
I did, but not in so many words. I was a little bit more subtle about that. Yeah, it was a good show. Since then, we've done a lot of stuff. You guys have had, more shows. You've got some exciting stuff coming up in the next little bit. I know of because I was involved in a conversation earlier where something exciting happened. But we've had you on chatting, and we thought it was a great time to bring John back on. Because we've had the two co-founders on. The first time it was almost like having you both on, where it was our first show, and then we brought you on last week to talk about At-Eze, and now we're bringing John on, and we're going to hope that he gets to talk about about it all. We had a great conversation with John the last time he was on. And one of the things that I did promise in the ad was that we'll have an update, not just on John with him being here, but later in the show we will chat a little bit about Mika, because we all got to meet Mika that day and learn about what John and Steve have done to help not just humankind but canine kind as well. So it's been pretty awesome to be part of their lives for the last 5 months since we've had John on and watch everything happen. And now we get to talk to John again.
Shall we bring him on?
We shall.
Are you ready, John? Because whether you are or not, welcome to the show.
Hold on, I got to get my nerd side ready. Can you see the arrow there?
Oh, the arrow's the wrong way. The arrow's the wrong way. Oh,
he's ready.
Oh, you're funny.
Just in case you start babbling.
Just in case she gets smart. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I guess we should let people know, because you're looking pretty casual. You've got the cat by your head. You're laying on your bed. That you just went through a I would call it a brutal operation.
Yeah, they split the back of where I lost my leg. They split from there all the way up to my butt and opened up my leg to the bone and took the sciatic nerve and split the nerve and then reattached it to two muscles to try and get rid of my phantom pain. I thought they were just good. I thought the sciatic nerve ran like a 1/4 inch deep, but I guess it runs right down to the bone. So they cut right down to the bone. And the doctor showed me a picture and I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what I was actually looking at, but it was my leg split right open and they carved all the way around the bone. So it looked pretty cool. And I'm in my hospital bed.
You're going, it looked pretty cool. And I looked at mine and Cindy's faces and they were just in shock.
But hopefully that's my last operation. I've had 6 operations related to my accident. So my accident was 5 years ago.
You've had them. The operations weren't just on your leg, though, right? They were also.
No, I've had 5 operations on my arms. Yeah, I've had my arms all rebuilt with metal and taken screws out and a plate out of my wrist, and then my elbow. My hand was on the throttle, and on impact, my hand went like this down. But the bone back here went back and broke off a chunk in my elbow, and they didn't know it for 3 weeks, and it grew into a mass. Well, they carved the mass away and rebuilt my elbow with a Dremel, and the mass grew back. So then they had to go back and rebuild my elbow again. And then they took me to the cancer clinic after the operation and bombarded it with radiation to stop the bone from growing. So, yeah. That was a fun operation.
Wow. And then for that, which is one of my things I was going to ask about, because you had mentioned just kind of one of the things in passing to me at one point, because you're a pretty unbelievable artist. And you had mentioned that you were using a lot of that. Like I'd come in and you're doing these massive paintings and I'm watching you get in there and just some incredible fine detail on it. And then you said, oh, I use this as therapy to rehabilitation for my arms.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, the painting really helped with. At first, I could only paint for about a half an hour to 45 minutes a day, and then it got up to an hour, and then 2 hours, and now I can sit and paint for up to 4 hours sometimes. And as you know, some of my paintings take weeks, so yeah, it's good therapy. But also sitting in my wheelchair for too long bugs the sciatic nerve and causes phantom pain.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
Since we are a show about, natural medicines, mushrooms, etc., is this something that mushrooms help with? I just have to, because when I've had some crazy pains, cannabis or Advil or Tylenol won't touch it, but if I microdose, that helps to ease the pain.
Yeah, I don't really know if it helps my pain, because a lot of my pain is nerve damage, and not even Percocets or hydromorphine or anything helps with it. It just doesn't work. Nothing works because of the because it's to do with the nerve ending being severed. But I know for a fact that many people I know take the microdosing along with the gummies for pain.
Yeah.
And also the CBD cream that Steve makes also helps a lot of people with the arthritis pain and along with the gummies.
Does that help to calm any of your nerves or numb them at all?
I just microdose.
You just
microdose. The cream really helps. Yeah.
Yeah, the cream helps as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I do the cream every day. Yeah. But I think everyone's different with different combinations for different problems. I think some people gummies help with the pain. I've got a friend with a shoulder problem and he takes the gummies and it totally gets rid of it. So I think there's everybody's different types of pain, different types of medicine.
Different DNA.
I know the microdosing helps me deal with the pain. Even though it doesn't really help me with the pain, it helps me deal with it a lot better. So yeah. It's
are you finding that the because you do the chocolates to help you when you're sleeping at night,
Yeah. In the middle of the night, I'll take a bite of chocolate. Yeah.
Now, with this operation, is that helping in there at all? Like, because I know your phantom pain gets to be super extreme.
Well, I had a 12-hour bout yesterday, and no amount of anything would have helped. It was so intense, and I almost went to the hospital. So, yeah. So today I've had no phantom pain, so everything's been good. But microdosing helps with me deal with the whole situation. It's not really helping with the pain.
The pain itself.
But it's, yeah. I'm glad today we're talking about Mika. I'm excited about that.
Don't you try and defer stuff off yet. We're talking about John right now, but nice try.
I'm trying to change the subject.
See how far he's come since the first episode? That would have had to have been me the first episode.
Well, I noticed Steve's not as nervous, and I noticed a big change, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm liking it. Now, some of the people here, because you've had extreme accidents, you've had your leg get torn off in your motorcycle accident, etc. And a lot of people, in our first one, we mentioned it, that isn't where your initial PTSD comes from. Can you give us a little bit more on the initial where your PTSD comes from?
Yeah, I guess in 2004, I had my first heart problems and my first pacemaker defibrillator put in. And 4 weeks ago, I just had number 4 put in. And I've been defibrillated almost 50 times while conscious. So that's what gave me the post-traumatic stress. That's what started me microdosing about 14 years ago.
Okay, so the very first time the defibrillator went off under that, what was your experience?
It's being electrocuted from the inside out.
Oh. Now, a friend of mine had it happen.
Your whole body goes stiff from the electrical current, and it feels like you're getting kicked in the chest by a mule.
That's what my other buddy said. He said it felt like getting booted in the chest by a horse.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about getting defibrillated like 50 times, this is all from your pacemaker. This is from the inside. Yeah. This isn't somebody trying to save your life.
No,
this is
all internal.
Going wrong.
Yeah. So last year I had a heart attack. I was painting out in my driveway, and I rolled out into my driveway, and I woke up with my face in a pool of blood, and I had a heart attack and went face first into the driveway, and all my teeth went through my upper lip, and my defibrillator saved my life. It went off twice to save me. I was clinically dead for 30 seconds. So that's the only time I've actually gone unconscious and then been defibrillated. I've always been defibrillated while I was still aware of my surroundings. Where this time I actually went down unconscious, and then my heart stopped for 30 seconds.
So the other 48 times, if I'm remembering correctly, you were defibrillated. Your machine defibrillated you without you needing to be defibrillated.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah, I think there was a couple times where I didn't even feel anything wrong at all, because what happens is my heart beats so fast it flutters, and it doesn't pump blood. So after 45 seconds of fluttering, I get the paddles. So a couple times.
So it's not that you're having a heart attack and you're out. You're conscious. It's freaking out, and it just goes boom.
Yeah. So one time I had it go off 9 times in a row. And I was in my friend's driveway. We had ridden to the Ladner days and walked over to my friend's place. And I got to the driveway and I looked at my friend and I go, I don't feel very good. And boom, off it went. Down I went. So then my friend's brother came down the ladder. He was working on the hedges. And he went to take my pulse, and it went off, and it electrocuted him through his arm. So it went right through my neck, through my body, through his arm, and electrocuted him. And then I remember the fire department came first, and there's like 4 firefighters looking down at me, and they didn't know what to do. And then my defibrillator went off, and I guess my whole body arched up in the air, and they all jumped back. Ah! So yeah, that was my second pacemaker, and they're supposed to last 7 years. I wore it out in 2 years from being defibrillated so much. And then they did this experimental ablation surgery where they went up both of my veins in my legs, and they drilled a hole in my chest, and they lasered a pathway in my heart for my pacemaker to run my heart all the time. So I've only been defibrillated once since that operation. So, and that was like 6 years ago. Yeah. Well, no, I guess I got defibrillated twice last year when I hit my face on the driveway. So yeah, but
that one you were actually having a heart attack and out, and it should actually do that.
Yeah, you needed it to save your life.
Yeah. But my heart went into cardiac, whatever it was. It wasn't even beating. It was beating so fast. So it was like, but I was technically dead because my heart wasn't pumping blood. So yeah, the doctor goes, yeah, your heart function's only at 25%. How come you have such a good attitude? And I go, well, what else am I supposed to do? I didn't tell him that I was microdosing.
So that I've actually, a question just about, you, but because of somebody else that came to me. A friend came to me and was curious, and this just happened yesterday, actually. Their father wants to start microdosing, and he's had heart attacks. And I'm like, I know a guy that has had heart attacks, and it's the microdosing that is helping his heart. So being somebody who has had heart issues and who microdoses, is it something that you would suggest to other people who have had heart issues? Is it something that is helping your heart?
I'd recommend an 8 mushroom blend of non-psychedelics for heart health more than the microdosing. The psychedelics are more for dealing with the problem and accepting the problem and whatever. But I think the 8 mushroom blend of the reishi and the turkey tail and all that would be better for heart health, whereas the microdosing is more for mental health.
But it's not going to hurt the heart.
No, not at all. I've been doing it for 14 years and it hasn't affected my heart at all. So,
good.
Yeah.
So just offhand, do you sit there listening to that Motley Crue song, Kickstart My Heart, all the time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got it as a ringtone.
Sorry, that's just a bad joke.
Where's your dad joke shirt?
Oh, yeah, I should have had that shirt on.
No such thing as a bad joke.
Yeah, they're just called dad jokes.
Yeah. Well,
no.
Me and Leslie, my friend Leslie, we went to stand-up comedy school. And the teacher comes out and he goes, yeah, you come out and you hold the mic like this and you take the mic off the stand and you put the stand to the left. And I don't recommend you tell any jokes about rape or incest or pedophilia. So I folded up all my notes and I walked out. That's a true story. I came back in, but that was.
Did everybody laugh?
Oh, yeah. Says, yeah, well, if I can't tell jokes about that, I'm out of here. So I folded up everything and out I went. Yeah, no such thing as a bad joke. Yeah.
Okay, so we got into the initial PTSD. Now, I knew about the one motorcycle accident, but just a few days ago, you told me about another one that I didn't know about.
Yeah, that was in 2000. A guy turned left in front of me on a green light at an intersection, and I went right into his car and shattered my femur, fractured my skull, crushed my shoulder.
Wow.
That was 4 years rehabilitation, but I wasn't microdosing then. I wish I had known about it. I would have got over the accident much better. But that everything has a silver lining. Everything has a reason, because that accident got me into abstract painting. And before that, I was doing watercolor and stuff. And so as I was in the hospital, I designed my very first abstract. I don't design them anymore. I still have the original designs for my first 2 abstracts that I actually designed on paper before I painted them. And now I don't do that because I try and create chaos and stuff. And you don't want to plan chaos. You just want it to happen. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's how my life is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? There's nothing wrong with a little bit of chaos.
Yeah,
But,
keeps you thinking.
that's right. So,
Has me thinking.
yeah,
All right.
that's that. I never would have started abstract painting if it wasn't for that accident. So, yeah. So that's and I wrote a screenplay too while I was down from that accident. So everything has a silver lining, I guess. And
Yep.
and you got to deal with anything that comes at you positively. And microdosing helps big time.
Okay, so at some point, you started making chocolates.
Yeah.
And that's long before I meet you. You've got chocolates going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I made the chocolates so I could microdose, so I could cut the chocolates up into sections and know exactly how much I was taking each time.
So we've jumped around a bit here. You had your first accident earlier, and you wish you had had the microdosing, and then you started microdosing with the heart attacks 14 years ago.
Yes.
And then how long after starting that did you start making your own chocolates?
Probably about 6-7 years ago, I'm guessing. Yeah.
So close to just before the second car accident that took your leg.
Yeah, a couple years before, yeah. And microdosing, you want to know how much you're taking, and you want to know exactly each dose. So the only way I knew how to do it was to make chocolate in a square, and cut the square up, and then you can microdose the same amount. You know how much you're taking each time. Whereas if you just eat a cap or you eat a stem of a mushroom, well, the cap might be 10 times more powerful than the stem, or vice versa. So then you're not microdosing. You're just rolling the dice that you might be microdosing. That's why it's much better to have it regulated in a dose that you know exactly how much you're taking.
And then how obviously people could see it working with you.
Yeah.
And people asked you how you were dealing with things, and you started helping other people with trauma, other people with PTSD with the microdoses.
Yeah, but that was mostly after I met you. That was mostly after I met you and we started At-Eze.
And that would be the version there that...
oh, there's the chocolates.
Yeah, so we've got that going on there. That was what you've got designed. There's 3 1-grammers in there. 3 chocolates. Each chocolate has a gram, 3 grams in a package. But that's
so you cut the chocolate into 8 or 10 pieces, and then there's your microdose. So you're not going to do too much or too little. You know exactly how much you're going to take. Whereas the At-Eze microdoses have other ingredients besides just the psilocybin, right? Whereas the chocolate is just straight psilocybin, which I use.
Yes, and I know that you tend to use that. You said that in our last podcast. You tend to at night when you wake up, you'll just take a bite and you'll eat that. Yeah. And then you're not getting any of the other adaptogens or anything else. You're just getting the
10 minutes later, I'm out like a light for 4 to 5 hours. And you have pretty cool dreams. Yeah. So
that you do.
Yeah, but the post-traumatic stress was the main reason I started the microdosing, not for sleep. Then I found out that it worked for sleep, and that was way later on. But the post-traumatic stress is not a fun thing to have, and you can't even explain it. This is kind of how I explain it. I've never had anxiety, so I took this stuff called Champax to quit smoking, and it made me not sleep, and it gave me anxiety, and I had anxiety for the first time in my life, and I go, how would someone live with this? It was absolutely horrible, and I couldn't live with it. If I had anxiety all the time, I would not be able to live with it. I don't know how people do. And that lasted about a week. That lasted about a week of having the anxiety. And then I started to really relate the anxiety to probably, I would have gone in, if I had the anxiety any longer, I would have probably gone into depression and all sorts of other mental disorders, because it is horrible. And I think they all are kind of related. And but the PTSD, it takes over pretty much right away, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's like anxiety times 10. And I would go into shock, literally. And yeah, it's not a fun thing. So the microdosing, I haven't had PTSD for well over 3 or 4 years now, at least the heavy duty one. When I first started microdosing, I didn't really know what dosage to take and how much to take it. And I'd still get the odd post-traumatic stress, because if my heart started beating weird, I'd go right away into post-traumatic stress because I thought I was getting the paddles. So yeah, so now I don't have it at all. It's totally gone. And I don't know if I stop. I don't know if I stop microdosing, if it would come back, because I haven't stopped.
Yes, I believe it would. I've been fighting CPTSD since I was 6. So, we're talking, 45-ish years. And I know for a fact that if I stop, it comes back. PTSD or CPTSD is nothing that is ever fully cured, ever, in anybody. You can have the symptoms masked. You can have things under control. You can be in control of it versus it being in control of you, which is when the attack comes along. But it's always there. And it's, if you've got yours under control in relation to like your heart issues, I applaud that. I think that's absolutely amazing. And that, your story can teach people that it can be done if faced, and, the medicine is respected and taken properly.
Yeah. And
nicely put.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can't believe how many people were helping with anxiety, and it's changing their lives. And I know why, because I had anxiety and I wouldn't be able to live with it. It's debilitating. It's horrible.
It would put me out for days.
You have that anxious feeling and the butterflies and the world is going to end kind of feeling, and for no reason. And I wouldn't be able to live with it. So that's, now that I had it once and then we're helping people with it, I can relate to how we're helping them. Like just when Steve had anxiety really bad and I first met him, and he's getting better and better, but I could relate to his situation because I had it once. And I was lucky. I only had it for about a week. So I was very lucky. And I had it because of a drug that I did. But I think everybody should have anxiety for a week, and then they could relate to what people are going through with anxiety. Because if you've never had it, you can't relate to what these people are going through. And I can see
even some people that have had it don't recognize what it is when they have it again, or when they see it in other people.
I could totally relate why people would take their own lives with anxiety, because I wouldn't be able to live with that all the time. It would be horrible.
I can't relate why people would ever do that, and I'm sorry, but I feel like that's bordering on saying it's okay. It's not okay. If you have anxiety, fight it. Talk to your friends. Don't consider suicide. It's not a good thing to consider. No,
I'm just saying
understand why anybody would do it.
No, but I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's okay or whatever. I can relate to why someone would do it if they can't get help and it's really bad. And, we don't know, everybody's situation is different in their lives or whatever. But,
and it'll drive you to that point of depression where that does cross your mind. I was there. It crossed my mind many times. I stood on the edge of the bridge. It's like
I ended up in the hospital because of an attempt. So I don't like to have it.
No, I say.
Anyway, we are now at that moment that it is a great time to go
on a lighter tone. Are we going to
ready?
talk about Mika when we get back?
Yeah, we're gonna head to break. Steve.
Okay, it's break time. Time to check out our sponsors, pay some bills. You're here with us live on the Mushie Moment on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Boxcast, CBG TV, paceradio.net, and we'll be right back. Thanks for hanging with us.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hello.
Steve.
Good day.
So we were
Welcome back.
We were just talking about anxiety and PTSD.
Yeah, no, welcome back to the Mushy Moment. We are back after the break. Steve is not paying attention to his lines, so I'm going to do my best to do them from memory because my thing is a note in front of me.
Hang on, wait, there's more. Welcome back to the Mushy Moment. We're streaming live to you here at paceradio.net, cbgtv.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Boxcast. We're on Roku, we're on Fire Stick, and we're here live. And I was busy watching the show going, wow, this is so cool. And now I'm back.
Now we're back.
Okay, now we were talking about anxiety and post-traumatic stress and microdosing. And the best feeling in the world is when somebody does the product and phones you or comes and hugs you and says, you've changed my life. And I've got a friend who's a nurse. It's helped her quit drinking and it's helped her deal with her job much better. And now she's got a few nurses doing it. But I've got a friend who didn't want to go outside. She didn't want to go to work. She didn't want to socialize. And she started doing the Scoobies and it completely changed her life. And she's got her life back to normal again. And she's going out and she's going for lunches with her friends and she likes going to work. So, yeah, it's amazing what it does. It's just totally amazing. What happened to Cindy
Yes,
Lulu?
I get a few of those. Well, yeah, I get those messages as well. And the life changing that happens it's absolutely monster. And for me, I have to thank you because you're one of the you're the biggest reason that any of this exists to help people. Because for me, I was just finding my way out. It was like, I'm tired of being medicated. I'm tired of being full of anxiety. I'm tired of suffering from PTSD, and that's why.
It's amazing what it does, man. It's just absolutely amazing, and it does more than just help with the anxiety. Your outlook on life is much better. Everything just seems better, and I say I love you way more, and I think there's 3 words that we don't say enough to people is that I love you, and I think everybody should phone their moms and their sisters and just say those 3 words, and it would probably make their whole week. So
yeah,
I say that
they're pretty powerful words.
I love you is probably the 3 most powerful words there is, and I don't think we say it enough, and I don't think I think we should put mushrooms in the drinking water so everyone would say I love you to everybody.
Oh man!
Can you imagine the world if we put what? Could you imagine in the world if we put mushrooms in all the water? There'd be no wars.
Well, we should definitely give it to world leaders.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What happened to Cindy? We lost Cindy.
Usually when that happens, something screws up on her computer end or something went on. So that just goes to that, and I'm sure she'll be back in just a couple of minutes. I wanted to bring this up here. Tell us about this little article.
Yeah, that was Richmond newspaper. I gave works of prints of my art to all the first responders that saved my life. And they called me hard to kill before the accident. So I was talking to the reporter about how my nickname was kind of hard to kill. And so I guess he put that up there in the headline. So
that's it.
Yeah, the first responders that saved my life, they were there in 6 minutes. And they saved my life. So I gave them all an art print at the ambulance station. And yeah, it was pretty emotional. It was pretty cool to meet the people that saved my life. And yeah, so what had happened was I got hit head on by an SUV that crossed the center line. And I remember my leg was torn off and my hand was facing the wrong direction, facing down. And I looked down at this big pool of blood and I go, well, this is it. And then it was like a TV screen getting smaller and smaller and smaller until there was nothing. And then I could hear a little bit and then I couldn't hear anymore. And I figured that was it. I was dead. So, and then when I came out of the coma, that was pretty nasty too. So, yeah, so I was on life support for quite a few days, and pulling the life support out, all that stuff out is just horrible experience. Yeah, but yeah, so I gave the ambulance driver that saved my life. I still talk to him once in a while. We're friends on Facebook. He's a Richmond guy, Warren. And yeah, we keep in touch.
Thank you, Warren.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. And yeah, so the mushrooms really help with getting over the accident too. So I guess now all the nurses that are watching this know why I was so happy in the hospital.
Well, I like
you're
how
a great
patient with Cindy that it didn't so much help with the pain, but it helps you mentally deal with it.
Absolutely.
Because even with a lot of the stuff that I related to, it was like when you said that, it's like, yes, that's exactly it. It wasn't that it changed what was going on. It just changed how I viewed what was going on, which
exactly
made me calmer and just made life easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it helps you deal with the problems. Instead of having anxiety over the problems, it helps you deal with them much better. And like I said, I had a good attitude with because I was in the hospital for 8.5 months, and I rehabilitation, and I was always happy in the hospital, and always had a good attitude, and it was because of microdosing. I know it was. And you know, they're giving mushrooms to end of life patients now, and now I understand why, because they must have horrible anxiety knowing they're going to pass. So they're giving the mushrooms to the end of life patients now, which have just been okayed in Canada. So
lots of published studies on it. I went through the published studies on how it works and what it does for people, and I was blown away.
Well, it helps for end of life. It helps for addiction. It helps for anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress. And then you get into the other mushrooms, which are good for your immune system and fighting cancer. And the list goes on and on and on. So
right before this show, we had somebody that we helped, one of the gentlemen named Ted that we helped. And he originally contacted us for some help with the with cancer and with for some health issues and for he found he was quite angry all the time, and he's an older gentleman, and he called me after about 3 months of being on the product, and he said, hey, well, actually it was longer than that. It was about 5 months after being on the product, and he said, he told me a bit of the story, and part of it was like, oh, taking this was really brutal, and this was brutal, and man, doing that was brutal. And at the end of the thing, I'm thinking, because he said thank you and how it's changed his life, and I said, you've told me all this brutal stuff. What is it that's making you so happy? And he said, well, I was drinking at 26 a day, and I haven't had a drink since Christmas. 5 months he hasn't had a drink since actually it's longer now. I'm calling him after we're done. I told him we were about to do the podcast, but I'm calling him after, and it helped him completely eliminate his alcohol habit, and that in itself, that'll help his healing, getting the booze out of there.
Yeah. And he doesn't go, hey, you kids, get that ball off my yard anymore.
Get out of my yard.
Yeah. Well, I noticed right away, the first thing I noticed with microdosing is my road rage got really, really better, like calmer.
Mine as well. Actually, I find that the F-bombs become way less throughout the day.
Yeah. But, I live in Richmond, so I still give the high salute. But other than that, I don't get...
If you do more mushrooms, it's a higher salute.
Well, I used to get angry when I drove. Now I'm just fascinated.
Yeah.
How did
I call it amazement. I just drive around in amazement.
No, I just go, how did that guy get his license? That's amazing.
So how did you, let's get to, we've gone through the accidents, your microdosing. On the first show, we talked about how we met. And then, once we were doing things, you were already involved with some people with PTSD, and then you talked me into, giving you some of what I was creating for myself to use, and you circulated that with some people, and you started to see results with that as well, and then it was like we need to share this, which is what's come on.
I keep it right by my bedside, at ease.
Oh, that's awesome. So. We got that going on, and then you were contacted about a documentary. The people from City TV Veracity contacted you about being in a documentary on psychedelics.
The psychedelic frontier.
Yeah, so give me a run on, because you bring me in, but how does it begin, and what do they say to you?
I was contacted by a guy who I get my mushrooms off of. And me and him talk quite a bit, and he goes, you should be interviewed, because the way you talk about this product and mushrooms and stuff, And then I guess they contacted him, And he goes, no, I got the perfect candidate for you. And then he gave them my number and they contacted me. And then me and you went on the show. And then I guess BCTV Toronto interviewed me a couple of weeks ago for a show they're doing on microdosing. And we were talking about how in Vancouver you can get cocaine and heroin out of a vending machine, and speed is legal, but edibles are not legal. So I don't understand. Gummies and mushrooms are illegal, but heroin and fentanyl and speed are legal. How does that work? Is it because people are lobbying? The drug companies are lobbying against the natural plant medicines because we can grow them ourselves, and the pharmaceutical companies don't like that? It makes no sense to me at all. What would you rather have? Your kid doing a mushroom that's grown naturally and smoking pot, or doing drugs at a rave from someone who gets fentanyl from an envelope from overseas, and you don't know how much is in it, you don't know what's in it? So I don't know. It doesn't make any sense why the natural medicines are illegal, but every other drug is legal now. It's bizarre, totally bizarre.
Well, and
Why do
that's
you
kind
think-
of what it's that thought of this doesn't make sense that kind of holds us both in doing what we're doing. It's like, no,
That's right.
anything we're doing is just helping people. And
Well, they took Cindy off of Facebook because she had a pot, a thing about pot on her thing.
oh yeah, and they cut out her original Facebook channel. Yeah,
yeah, for having a thing about pot. But we can post stuff about fentanyl and heroin and no problem. But don't you ever post anything about marijuana, you're going to go to jail. So Facebook jail, I mean.
yeah.
So
Well, with
I don't
hers,
know.
they didn't even put her in jail. They actually just cut her account right off. She has no
Yeah.
access to that account. It hasn't come back or anything.
It's just bizarre, man. I don't know. Until the younger generation gets into the politics and stuff and starts making major change, lobbyists are going to run everything, and the drug companies give major money to the political parties. And because that's the only reason I could think why natural medicines, edibles, and mushrooms are illegal, but heroin's legal. So yeah, I don't know. There's never been one documented case of someone dying from psilocybin overdose.
No.
People have sure jumped off of buildings and stuff, but there's never been a case of a psilocybin overdose. But that's okay. We'll make fentanyl and heroin legal, but don't you dare do that mushroom.
Well, I understand having safe supply. I just don't understand, these are okay and that's not, because as you know, I've got a couple of daughters that are fentanyl addicts, and Katie battled suicidal thoughts for a long time. And she had a clean period where she was in recovery. And through that period, I started her on the microdoses. And to this day, she says that stopped her from having suicidal thoughts. The mushrooms cleared out her, even when she went back into addiction, when she relapsed, the suicidal thoughts, the mushrooms cleared that out. And and I got to say, they did the same thing for me.
Yeah. So I don't understand. Yeah, we've got to start. Somebody's got to make some changes, because they're using mushrooms for heroin addiction and fentanyl addiction to break them from the habit and stuff. But one's legal and one's not. Unbelievable.
Yes.
My daughter's cat has started on the CBD and the mushroom mix, the 7 blend.
Dun 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 dun. That's
Yeah.
and we've got it. It was originally designed for my dog, but my sister-in-law's cat is also on it, and her mother's cat is on it. And man, the review and the changes of what it's doing for them, blowing my mind. Now, you hadn't told me about Sam's cat, so let's go.
I haven't heard any. It stopped limping with the arthritis with the CBD, but I haven't talked to her since the cat started doing the mushroom mix. So I'm sure it's helping. But Rob's dog, my friend in North Vancouver, Rob and Tanya, their dog is totally changed doing the CBD and the mushroom mix. It sits there and whines when it doesn't get it when he's sitting there waiting for it. So it's helped them sleep through the night.
I've seen it change a lot of puppies' lives, especially mine.
Yeah, yeah. The miracle dog.
Here we go.
I call it.
I'm going to bring up the video. Are you ready? Hold on. I'm going to go like this for a second and move that. And then I'm going to bring this up. And then go to, I'll just hit here.
So you wanted to put Mika down a year and a half ago. She was totally blind and could barely walk. And now that's her at the beach a year and a half later after doing the CBD and the mushroom mix. Unbelievable. 18 years old. I still can't believe it. And her eyes have cleared up. They're not white anymore. Yeah.
Oh, we were at the beach. We were at the beach yesterday, and she was just bouncing and playing and
unbelievable.
It just lights up my heart, man. It seriously just lights up my heart. I just sit there and yeah.
And now look at all the other dogs and cats we're helping now too. And
it's funny because I go to the dog park and there's usually one or two of them that'll be there that are I get to see the dogs and hug the dogs, and the dogs just come right up to me right away. And yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Now you had the one fellow, the dog had the tumors.
Yeah, that's Jerry. Yeah, his dog Tess has got. I saw him at the park yesterday. I saw him and Tess at the park yesterday. Oh yeah,
and there's no more tumors.
The tumor on the paw is gone. The tumor on the back is gone. The big one on the thigh is shrinking and tightening up. So it's, there's lots of progress. More than anything, the dog couldn't walk very far because it had a tumor on the paw. And now the dog is doing like 5-kilometer walks.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. And he wanted to he was thinking about putting the dog down too.
That night that I met him. Yes. I was hugging his dog and we were chatting, and he said, yeah, this is her last walk. And I said, well, wow, I'm really sorry. I wish I'd have met you sooner. And then he asked why. And I mentioned about the CBD and the mushrooms, and he was familiar with mushrooms and using a 3 mushroom blend already with his dog. And then the next day he called me and he said, I didn't put her down. Come over, talk to me. Let's see what we got going. So I also utilized the pain cream for him, and he would put because it's a high content cannabis full extract pain in the pain cream as well, and he would put that over the tumors, and between the whole works. Wow, it's amazing.
And then my friend Michael, he had a Rottweiler that he was getting ready to put down, and it could barely walk, and now it's running around like a puppy, and its coat's cleared up, and it's happy, and he comes over and he just can't believe it. He buys the CBD and the mushroom mix for his dog, and it's changed his life too. And he was talking about her being near the end of her life, and now she's got years. She had a couple tumors too, and they're all cleared up. So yeah, it's in
August Mika turns 18.
Yeah, so I'm more happy that we're helping the dogs and the people, because I like pets more than I like people. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I like the fact that some people decided to try it with their cats. Like, I'm going to be modifying the label on it because I designed it for Mika and it wasn't really supposed to be there, but I'm going to modify the label so it's got dosages for dogs, dosages for cats, and just help people out in what they got.
Yeah, I just told my daughter to do half of what a dog would take. So I think she's doing a half to a quarter teaspoon twice a day or whatever, and then the CBD just I think 3 or 4 drops twice a day.
Yeah,
and so I can't wait to talk to my daughter, see how her cat's doing. but haven't had one negative thing yet with animals with the CBD and the mushroom mix. Haven't had one person say their dog or cat is not getting better. Every single person that we've helped, their animal has gotten better. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, for me, I was watching Mika, which made me start taking my mushroom blend and my CBD religiously. And I'm also, just like you, I'm on a bunch of the other nutritional products as well. And I take my shakes and whatnot. But, you know, I was getting my knee worked on for quite a while with arthritis. And I can say the last 6 months, nothing.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. Don't notice it. Don't wake up with any pain. It just doesn't bother me.
Yeah. And I think we should do a segment on teas and juicing too, and putting products in the juice in the morning. Because like I said, 1/3 of our metabolism and our energy goes towards digestion. And in the morning, if you do a smoothie and drink teas instead of eating whole foods, your body doesn't have to work so hard to digest. So I've been juicing pretty much my whole life, and I just started the teas about, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. I do 3 different types of tea in the morning, but the blueberries, bee pollen, hemp hearts, flaxseed, mushroom mix, collagen, and the raspberry vitamin mix that your friend makes up.
Yep, the raspberry one. Yep.
Yeah, and it's got seaweed and 8 different types of berries in there, and oh my God, some berries I've never heard of, and so I take that too, and I mix it in a smoothie, and then I do 3 types of teas. I do the ginger, black, and a green tea, and I leave the tea bags in the cup while I'm drinking it, so all the antioxidants, I get them all. I don't just keep the tea bags in there for 6 minutes and pull them out. I leave the tea bags in there for the whole time. And the ginger tea flavors the tea good enough where I don't need sugar or honey. I just use skim milk. And I tell you, man, it got rid of the coffee altogether. No coffee at all, just tea now. And I've been reading about the studies on tea, and the antioxidants in the tea are absolutely amazing. They're just as high as the bee pollen and the blueberries. And they're different types of antioxidants too. So I don't think there's one type of antioxidants. I think there's different types. What do you think?
Oh, everything has its place. I'm going to bring Cindy back in, even though she isn't in here, because she's reminding me that we're at that time. We've got to do the closing off. We've got to say our goodbyes. I've got to do it's that time again. Thank you for joining us here on the Mushie Moment with my co-host Cindy, myself, and our awesome guest, John Sayre. We're proud to be coming to you live from paceradio.net, CBT TV, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Boxcast, Roku, and Fire Stick. And we'll see you next week. But before that, any last words there, John?
Peace.
What about you, Cindy?
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBGTV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at Pace Radio.